All right, joining us this morning on our weekly call is Josh Berry, driver of the number 21 Motorcraft Quick Lane Ford Mustang Dark Horse for Wood Brothers Racing. As we get ready to head to EchoPark Speedway, I kind of got to get used to saying that now. I'm used to saying Atlanta still, so I think it's going to be a process for all of us to kind of get used to that. But headed off to Atlanta for the second time this year, and Josh is pitted against John Hunter Nemechek here in the in-season challenge first weekend. So if you've got a question for Josh, raise your hand. I see we got 5 of them up already. So Josh, we're just going to kick it off right off the bat. We'll get started with Roy Akers. Roy, why don't you get started?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Josh Royer, Skyview Sports. You got your win in Las Vegas a couple months ago. Things have kind of been, even keel. Do you have a great feeling about Echo Park Speedway this weekend? Fords have won the last 6 poles, and there's no reason anybody cannot win a race like this.
Yeah, I feel I feel good going back there. I felt like we had a really strong race there in the spring, led laps, won a stage, was in kind of in the battle the whole race. So it's been fun going back and reviewing that one with my team together and kind of learning, working with my spotter Jason and Miles and everybody kind of on how to up our communication a little bit better and do just a little bit better. But honestly, it was a really good race for us, and we found ourselves in position. So I feel like if our car is as good as it was in the spring, we'll have a chance at it.
Thank you.
Let's go to Claire B. Lang. Hello, Claire B.
Hey, you're matched up in the in-season challenge with John Hunter Nemechek. And my question is, how much do you as a competitor, I know you love to race, does that, I know you want to win and you need to win. Does that inspire you? Does that make you feel like kind of excited? And how do you match up against John Hunter Nemechek, do you think?
Yeah, I think all of us will be paying attention to it. I don't know who, I think all of us will be paying attention to who we're paired up against and how they are doing. And yeah, it should be interesting to follow for sure. Obviously, a drafting style track like that will be a lot about just making it to the finish. That'll play a big part of that. It'll be hard to have a perfect bracket with a place like Atlanta because you never know, accident can take you out or something like that. But yeah, it'll be fun to follow. Not really, putting overly too much thought into it, but obviously we'll pay attention to how John Hunter's race is going compared to ours, and hopefully we can come out on top.
Does somebody like you look at the matchups and say, oh, I can get that guy or my team can get that guy? Or are you so focused on what you need to do, which is winning or, having a competitive race that you kind of can let that go? Because, you're also competitive.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, all of us want to win it. It'd be, really cool. I mean, it's a really cool thing to follow and be a part of. I think that, really, I mean, anything can happen any week, right? We can go to, obviously, Atlanta's going to be a little bit of a wild card. Like I said earlier, with the, drafting track and, the accidents that can happen there. But even when you go to a road course or something like that, I mean, you never know what could happen. I mean, somebody has an issue, gets run off the track, gets spun out, on a restart. It's going to change. So it's going to be tough to, make a perfect bracket in that thing because there's going to be a lot of things that happen that are unexpected.
Thank you. Always fun to watch you race. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Let's go to Scotty Powell. Good morning, Scotty.
Good morning, and good morning, Josh. Thanks for joining us. I know Atlanta, and then we have 2 road courses, kind of some wild cards. So I want to focus a little bit more later into the schedule. And we're coming up to Dover, and I was looking over some of your stats. Either you finished first or second in the last 3 years in the Xfinity Series, had a 10th and a 14th place in the Cup Series. What makes you so good at Dover? What it seems like it just kind of fits your driving style. What is it about Dover that you really like?
Yeah, I don't know. Really, from the first time I went there in the Xfinity car, I felt really comfortable. I remember before I went there for the first time being pretty intimidated going to a place like that and not knowing what to expect. Even back then, when I was making my first start there, we didn't have practice or qualifying either. So, but yeah, it's a place that I took to well. Obviously, got the win there with JRM. Their cars were always really strong there, and yeah, I was able to kind of, carry that confidence into the Cup Series too. So it's a place that it's probably my favorite track. It's a lot of fun racing there. I've had some really good days, so it's one that I've got circled coming up that I'm excited to get to.
And two road courses coming up with Chicago and Sonoma, obviously different style tracks, but how do you feel like your road course program is right now, just coming outside of Mexico City, coming into two back-to-back road courses?
Yeah, I thought there was a lot of positives for us at Mexico. Obviously, the weather, threw a wrench into everything to start the race, but practice and qualifying, we were much more competitive. It seemed like our whole group was more competitive. We were faster. We were, we're all closer together. So yeah, there's positives for that. Obviously, Chicago's tough. I mean, it's a street course. I mean, it's really difficult racetrack. Um, and Sonoma's a totally different type of road course. But for sure, I think we took a lot of positives out of Mexico. I think we're working on the right areas, doing the right things. I think we made our cars better. I feel like I adapted to the cars better. So yeah, I'm just excited to go run there and see how we do, stay out of trouble, execute, and you can get a good finish in those races.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Scotty. Dover's the one track that I see the speed. We come out of the media center right there just before turn one. You guys kind of come blowing by, and it's like, holy cow, they are really flying at Dover. So speed sensation, you feel that in the car as well, I assume?
Yeah, it's for sure. It's fast and just I think that's what I enjoy the most about it. I think it's just how fast it is and just how it feels diving down in the corners there and just I felt really comfortable going that fast, right? Like even when I first started Xfinity racing, as much as I short track racing, going to some of the intermediates, I always felt really comfortable at the 2 mile intermediates, places like that that's fast and Dover kind of fit that. So it's excited to get there for sure.
Yeah, I'm going there this year too, so I'm looking forward to that myself. Let's go over to Leonardo Polanco. Hello, Leonardo.
Thanks. Josh, NASCAR in-season tournament start this week at EchoPark Speedway. Does it change the way everyone will be racing this week? A little more aggressive, a little more relaxed? How do you feel it's going to be?
I don't think it'll change too terribly much. I think that each individual is going to pay attention to who they're up against and how their racing's going. And I'm sure over the course of the next month, there's going to be battles late in the race that are matchups that they got paired, pre-race that will be interesting to follow. But I don't think any of us are thinking that we need to be more or less aggressive. Obviously, I think Atlanta is going to be a big opportunity for a lot of people to try to win a race to make it into the playoffs. So I think the aggression is going to be higher, more so for that than necessarily the tournament. But I'm sure there'll be some interesting battles over the course of the next month.
All right, let's move over to Samuel Stubbs. Hello, Samuel.
Hi, Dan. Thank you. Josh, thanks for being with us today. Ford and Penske have always been fast at these speedway races, especially in recent years with this next gen car. And it seems like a big part of that is the communication that Ford has and Penske has with all of you. Can you kind of give us some insight on maybe what a Sunday morning would be like for you talking with guys from Ford and talking with other drivers and teams from Penske and trying to lay out a game plan for what you can do to be up front lead laps and be there at the end when it matters?
No. Um, but I mean, it's pretty easy to see that, we try to work together the best we can and take care of each other and our teammates at Ford to keep as many numbers up front as we can, when we get to the end of the stages and then the race. And I mean, that's pretty simple. I think it's just if you can have people around you at the end of these races that you can trust and rely on, it just slows down the decision making at the end of these races. And obviously, I've only been a part of it for a couple with these guys, but it's worked out well, and I'm excited to go there and keep working on it and take what I've learned in the spring race.
And then a quick follow-up, Chase Briscoe was talking to us in the media center Sunday night in his post-win presser about how how his life and his racing has changed going from SHR to JGR, and just kind of the expectations shifted going from SHR then to his new team. You're in that same boat going to a new team with the Wood Brothers and Penske this year from SHR. So have you felt the expectation shift? Because he said that his win Sunday was the least enjoyable in terms of it being more expected to win at a program like JGR compared to SHR. Have you felt those expectations kind of shift going into the year and then after you won at Las Vegas?
Um, not too much. I feel like going into the opportunity that I had last year, there was high expectations really for all of us, and I think we all left that opportunity with the majority of the media questioning our ability as drivers, honestly. I think so. We all had a lot to prove going into this opportunity, but we're all going to different situations, and for the most part, all of us have thrived in those situations. And I to me, I don't feel like expectations are that much different. The four car had a lot of high expectations, and they did a lot of amazing things. So for me, I think it's just about us going into new opportunities, and thankfully they've worked out for most of us.
Thank you. Best luck this weekend.
All right, we're going to head over to Stephen Toronto. Go ahead, Stephen.
Josh, you led 56 laps here when we first raced at Atlanta back in February. That was your second time out with Wood Brothers Racing. So how important do you think that race was to either convincing yourself or convincing others that you had what it took to contend for wins, win races, and be a playoff team?
Yeah, I think it was a really big confidence boost for all of us. Obviously, those cars have been fast at Atlanta, but to execute and perform like we did and battle for the win the whole night, like I said, it was just a big confidence boost, and really was a kind of a tale of things to come, I think, over the course of the season, that we're going to have speed and have a lot to be excited about. So obviously, hey, we didn't get the finish that we deserved that night, but that's part of racing. But I think, like I said, we took a lot of positives from that day, a lot to learn from, a lot to look at going into this week, and hopefully we can capitalize and have a good finish.
And speaking of the finish, there was some controversy, I'd say, about whether or not NASCAR did or didn't throw the caution both races at Atlanta the last time we were there. It seemed at the end of the Xfinity race at Talladega that they were pretty quick and prompt to throw the yellow on the last lap of that race. How satisfied or clear do you think things are as far as if there's a crash in the last lap, if NASCAR is going to throw the yellow when they're going to throw it?
Lately I feel like it's been a little clearer. I mean, thinking back to, my incident, I took a couple big shots in the left side door there, and then obviously Connor hit a ton at Talladega, and I think that they're leaning towards safety, which is not a bad thing. I mean, overall, I think they've done a good job with that, and I think that generally the drivers want to err on the side of safety, and it's just up to us to try to get to the finish under green.
Gotcha. Thanks, Josh.
All right, Dustin Long is up next. Go ahead, Dustin.
Yeah. Hey, thank you. Hey, Josh, can you give me a sense of the discipline it takes to drive with your teammates like you did at Atlanta, especially that first half of the race? You led a lot, but there were times you're running. The Penske cars have done a very good job on this type of racing to run in a group and control the front of the field. Can you give me a sense of what that discipline is like to be in that position that you were in Atlanta in the spring?
Yeah, I think it's just, it just goes back to the communication that we all have together, and just trying to take care of each other out there, right? And I think that if we can work with each other and keep our group together, it increases all of our odds, really, right? Is the best way to look at it, I think, for us. So, um, for me, I thought that's been a big help for me, trying to understand the style of racing. obviously talking through those scenarios and what, opening up that conversation is something that I've never had with, teammates and having those conversations about, obviously every team always tells you, oh, go, y'all need to work with each other, but we do a really good job of communicating on how and why and when to do that, and I think that pays off in the results in the end.
So on the other side of it, can you give me a sense of, I remember like in the second stage, you restarted behind Joey on a restart on the second row, but then kind of fell back to outside the top 10 before coming back up. What that is like once you fall out of that group, where you're in that discipline controlled group at the controlling the front of the field to now you're 8th to 12th or somewhere. And I'm sure you're having to let up at times and losing, momentum and stuff like that. Just how chaotic it is once you fall out of that control of the top 3 or 4 cars.
Yeah, I mean it's a battle there for sure. Obviously that particular scenario, the intention is to push Joey and stay connected, and then fortunately it didn't pan out. And those things are going to happen, several times throughout the race. And the good part about it is, we've talked through those scenarios and understand that those things happen. And yeah, when you get mid pack there, it's such a battle. I mean, that's why it's such a great race to watch on TV, right? Like just because the runs are so huge and it's so exciting to be a part of that. Yeah, it's a challenge to work back through there. It's a challenge to stay up front too, right? Like so it's a lot of battle, and it's one that, as a driver, you watch back those races and you realize, man, this is pretty fun to watch. So I'm sure everybody's excited for this weekend.
So is there, in talking about that restart situation that I talked about and you referenced there, is there something more you could have done to have kept yourself up in that outside second row or further up toward the front as opposed to falling back, or something Joey could have done to help you in that situation that you guys learned in working together in that case?
Well, the idea is to hopefully stay connected and get control, right? But for, sometimes it just you can't help what it depends obviously on what the other lane does and what the guys behind you do if they bail to the top or switch lanes, and it's just all situational. So I mean, it's you just try to do your best you can to, get going on the restarts and hopefully at least get one of us clear into the lead.
Thanks for explaining that. I appreciate it.
All right, Dustin, thank you. We're going to close it out with Emiliano Guevara. Emiliano, you get the last question. Go ahead.
Good morning, Josh. Remembering that is your first season with Good Brothers Racing, what have been your impression in so far in the championship, and how do you think about the playoffs?
Yeah, it's been a really good first season with the Wood Brothers. I've just really enjoyed working with them and being a part of the whole organization. And obviously, getting the win earlier in the year was a lot of excitement. But we've had a lot of good runs over the course of the year, a lot to learn from and look at, and I think we have a lot of room to improve and get a little more consistent and heading into the playoffs. I think we're a team that we feel like if we go out and execute like we know we can, that we're going to be able to make our way through the playoffs a little bit. So it's been a lot of fun this year for sure.
Thank you.